Good evening, Canterbury. I'm Mike Yardley. Welcome to NewsMakers. Good to see you, a week on after all hell broke loose last Saturday morning. And this week our show is a show with a difference, really. It's a time for recollection and reflection and a look ahead on the road to recovery for Canterbury. We hope to be joined in due course by the Selwyn MP, Amy Adams. Of course, her electorate was the site of the epicentre of this earthquake, and there's been massive damage in inland Canterbury. Also with us, Christchurch Central MP Brendon who is probably sick of the sad sights when it comes to architecture in Christchurch. And of course, just north of the city, Waimakariri, also home to some of the worst sites in Canterbury over the past week, with Kaiapoi particularly being smacked over nastily by Mother Nature. Joining us is Waimakariri MP Clayton, Cosgrove as well. Good to see you guys.
Hi, Mike.
It's amazing how a long week in politics is a bit like a long week after a natural disaster. This has been a very long week, hasn't it?
It has, and it's still continuing, as we felt just a few minutes ago. Yes, obviously.
Absolutely, yes. Clayton, where were you when Mother Nature decided to give us that wake-up call?
Jane and I were in Auckland. We had a thing the night before, and we dashed out to I got a text message. I thought my staff were taking the mickey, and we verified and got out to the airport, and it took us, the earliest flight we get's 12:30 to Nelson, and then drove from there to Christchurch. But I just say this way, I think we should be incredibly proud of Cantabrians today. There has been immense emotional trauma. Burnsy here has been bucketed out of his house, and his constituents, we're in his patch, taking a hit. Mine and Amy's not here. Her people have taken a big hit, as have others. But there's been some real stories of heroism out there. It is a miracle, whether you're religious or not, it is a miracle that no one was killed.
Sure is, yes. That is one of the lingering reflections on this earthquake. How we have escaped any loss of life is beyond me.
In part, I think, because we've got a decent building code. We've got buildings that generally are built to withstand these kind of quakes. The damage has mostly been done to those buildings built before there was any thought given to earthquake proofing and strengthening. And so that, let's be thankful that, sometimes people, knock around on red tape and regulation. But that's why you have rules, and that has brought us through with no fatalities. Similar sized quake in Haiti, 250,000 people perished.
Yes. That being said, there have been some very lucky escapes, haven't there? I know that Amy Adams has provided some very profound accounts in the House this week as to this goldfish tank and how it nearly took the life of one of her children. Brendon, as Clayton said, your house has been trashed. You were renting, right?
Yes, we are, and on the river and River Road. And the quake struck. We were bounced out of bed, ran to the adjoining bedroom where our daughter was, and managed to get downstairs and sheltered under the dining table. But I want to make the point that we're better off than most people, and there's people who haven't got insurance who've lost their houses. People who've been very traumatised by this and just haven't got the resources and capacities to deal with it as perhaps we are.
I think we also got to prepare ourselves. I found as you went house to house around, Belfast taking a few hits, and Northwood and Kaiapoi, Pines Karaki particularly. You'd go to people and you'd say, look, how you going, and they'd say, no, don't worry about me. And you look up, well, I'm fine. You look up and the house is open like a can. Go and see Mrs. Jones next door. She's worse. But I think, I had two young fellas in Pines Beach as we were going around down Hood Street, which is like Beirut on a good day. And these young guys said, Mr. Cosgrove, I've got a question for you. And what's that? And they said, look, we want to sign up. And these are guys who are shifting stuff out of what's left of their home. I said, what do you mean sign up? And they said, look, no, we want to help. I said, look, you are actually entitled for the next few hours to think of yourself and your family. No. We'll be finished now. We want to sign up and volunteer. There are people worse off than us, which I think is just stunning. People coming into the welfare centre at Kaiapoi, a rugby club in Smith Street, so have been done over, who've lost their homes, saying we felt we had to turn up and help people.
The generosity of people is astounding. The people running the welfare centres, I've been at Linwood College most nights over the last few nights, volunteers just pouring in, St John, Red Cross. The Red Cross team last night was for Whangarei. Wow. Local volunteers pouring in and helping. Yesterday a student rang and said, can you get us some work? We managed to find a lady who needed her backyard. There were dozens of students at the Banksafe School waiting for a job. They just turned up. I mean, I think the response of this has been truly stupendous. And you know, yes, we're all good at putting silver linings in clouds, and God, this has been a big cloud, but you know, the response of Cantabrians to this, and of New Zealand, has really humbled us, I think.
Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, talking purely parochially here, I suppose we've always considered ourselves a generous-minded community, but this has really been the ultimate test of that, hasn't it?
I mean, we're funny as Kiwis, eh? We whinge and whine a lot about all sorts of things, you know, that's the nature of, you know, we demand a lot and so we should. But when the chips are down, you know, we pull together. And, you know, there have been civil defence, Salvation Army, volunteers, others who have literally fallen asleep at their desks and will not leave because they want to assist people. And I think we're moving through a phase, though, where the shock is over for people, but now people, and you've got to respect it, are getting a bit brittle. They're demanding more, and the challenge, I think, for the government will be they'll demand more resource and faster resource and more efficient use of resource, and that's a challenge that I think, you know, we've got to meet.
All right, we'll take a break. The Selwyn MP, Amy Adams, will join us very shortly, and we'll get her personal experiences from a truly larger-than-life week out in Selwyn. And also we will have a look at the government response, both central government and local government, that has come in for huge accolades this week. But what's the game plan from here? I know that Jerry Brownlee has been quoted as saying that on Monday, Christchurch, 95% of Christchurch will be operational. What does that mean, and what is the medium-term outlook for all of us? That's all ahead. Do stay with us.